Good morning, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. It is February 14th, 2018, 6:45 a.m. This video is going to be about the updates for Cyclone Gita, which, according to, let me see this site here, abc.net.au says has just battered southern Fiji, which certainly looks like it does. There are some pictures here below. They do report that this thing has reached Category 5 status. Now, when I check the current storm information, it does say 115 kilometers, which is about equivalent to 132 miles per hour, which would be in the Category 4 range. So it may have hit that 137 knots or kilometers, or sorry, knots rather. So it may have hit that speed, but as of right now, they're saying it's around a Category 4. Just to give you an idea of where this thing is, it's about right here. It has just passed under southern Fiji, and it does seem to be heading in a more of a westward direction and then looping down right into the south areas of New Caledonia. And then it looks like in some of the models it wants to pass right over Norfolk Island, where the capital of Kingston is. And then once again it follows that similar pattern right down into New Zealand. So these areas need to be prepared. They need to understand that they have a Category 4 to 5 storm heading in their direction, at least for New Caledonia and Norfolk Island. By the time it gets to New Zealand, if it continues this path, it will widen out due to the cooler water, but nonetheless will be a rough storm to deal with, as we saw in the past with other cyclones earlier this season. Now, I do have some pictures, some images pulled up for current. You can see how it has passed the Fiji Islands now. Those outer bands, these do spin in a clockwise formation because we are in the southern hemisphere. Northern hemisphere, they spin counterclockwise due to the spin of the earth, they say. But the new models actually show this thing getting dangerously close to the southern areas of New Caledonia. So that is my next warning that I'm giving out to the people of New Caledonia. You need to be aware that this storm may in fact make landfall in the South Islands of New Caledonia. I tagged a bunch of the areas in the video. Some of the areas are hard for me to pronounce, so I'm not even going to go there. So I'm going to list a bunch of different cities and towns and bays in the description box below. And if you live or you know anyone that lives in any of those areas, spread the word. I mean, this is a very big storm. It could very well be a Category 5. Again, I'm going off Tropical Tidbits, their information they have right now. Now, if you remember yesterday, these spaghetti plots had this thing going just underneath New Caledonia, which is right here. I'll zoom in a little more for you. Now some of the plots have this going over New Caledonia, and then no matter what happens, if it does loop down here, that island with the capital of Kingston, Norfolk Island, is definitely in the path of this storm. Even if it passes to the left or right of it, that island is so small, it will absolutely feel the wrath of this thing, and it's not going to weaken that much by then. Now, it does say 941 as far as the pressure goes for this, but then when you back it up, you can see how it's at 937. So I don't know if that's a prediction or if they have their information a little confused here. Also, again, they have it at 115 knots, which is about 132 miles per hour, which would be equivalent to a Category 4 hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. So these are the current plots. It does have it all swinging right into New Zealand, so I have New Zealand tagged in this as well. This would be in the next 5 days, I would say. Depending on the speed of the storm, that could change as soon as it hits cooler water. Again, this thing will expand, it will weaken, but the wind field will be more broad. It will cover more terrain. The storm is going to be about the size of New Zealand by the time it hits. May not be a all-out tropical cyclone at that time, but it doesn't need to be to put these areas of the coast in danger. So please, anyone in New Zealand, please be prepared for this storm. It's better to be safe than sorry. I'm not telling you to go out and spend your bank account on food and water. I'm just saying you live in an island that is used to seeing these storms. I'm sure many of you know how to prepare for them, so I would just go ahead and do so and be safe. If I lived in New Zealand, I would be preparing. Let's just put it that way. So once again, this is a current satellite image of where this storm is. Gita. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Gita. Someone wrote beta yesterday. I don't know if that was a reference to my name with a B. I don't know. Guys, I have a head cold, so excuse me if I'm sounding a little slow today. I am feeling better than yesterday. I took a lot of advice from people below, especially Caroline down there, my favorite. Um, okay, so we have these two satellite images here that show a little bit of movement. We have those deep reds around the eye that extend about 75 to 100 miles out. Those are the strongest of the winds. You can see those just passed under the southern part of Fiji, and this poor little island here definitely took damage, flooding, storm surge, you name it. They got hit hard. So now this thing is heading in a western direction. This is the New Caledonia satellite image. You can see the outer bands of it just entering to the right here. So it just depends on how far west this thing wants to move before we really know if New Caledonia is going to get hit or not. But some of these new spaghetti plots are really concerning me, that the southern area, at least even mid up to the mid part of the island, may get struck dead on with this thing. Now we will go to trusty tropical tidbits, and we will also look at Ventu Sky to see how they compare. Now I'm using the GFS version here. As we move forward, you can see pressure is dropping. It is dropping to 931, so it is expected to get stronger according to the GFS as it makes its way to towards New Caledonia. And then right at the last second, it wants to dip down. Those purples just touching the southern area. Now there is a little island extension off of this, if you notice here. This area right here. Now, if those outer bands hit this area, you can assume that this Kutamo, however you pronounce it, I'm so sorry, whoever lives here. We have an airport here. And we also, I noticed there's an area here where it's some sort of Air Force base or some sort of power plant. And then we have this right here, Base Vey, which is, may be some sort of military base, which is very close to where this thing may be heading. So I also have that tagged in the video as well. So yeah, guys, this is exactly where this thing looks like it's going. It's heading west. It's going to do that southern dip down towards New Zealand no matter what. There are some plots that had it coming over top of New Caledonia, but I do not see that happening. Of course, it's possible. Lots of volcanoes in the area. We've had a lot of earthquake activity near the Papua New Guinea area. 5.5 earthquakes, 5.0s. And this was just overnight last night, so a lot of action going on near the southern Pacific in Australia. And then again, Norfolk Island, where the capital is Kingston, is right in the path of this thing as it makes its way to New Zealand. So again, here is the plot for tropical tidbits. It has it wrapping down. And then right there is when you see contact with New Zealand. So anywhere in New Zealand, any of this coast here, including inland and the little cutout here, expect some damaging winds, flood, storm surge, all of that stuff. This is no joke, this storm. Very well may be a tropical cyclone, even by the time it makes it to New Zealand if it continues this path. We see two other low pressures forming. Who knows what's going on with that? It's been pretty active in this area lately. There are other invests to look at, which again I will put in another video. I'm very sorry about this, that are on the north side of Australia that seem to want to open and then die out pretty quickly because they keep interacting with the coast. Now Ventu Sky shows, let me back up to today. So this is currently where the storm is now. Ventu Sky shows a similar pattern. We're skimming that bottom area of New Caledonia and then moving right towards Norfolk Island, capital of Kingston. Capital is Kingston, and then right into New Zealand. These are some strong winds here. Now again, I am 500 meters up. These are directional patterns I use. When I use this 500 meters, it's to show me the direction of the storm. These will not be 100-mile-an-hour winds by the time it hits here. We could be looking at 60 to 70. Still, nonetheless, not a storm to take lightly. Now, again, this is the article that says that Cyclone Gita batters southern Fiji, upgraded to Category 5, heading for Vanuatu, and then New Caledonia. So there you have it, guys. We were talking about this yesterday, that we feared this thing was going to continue west, which it looks like it's going to do. I will have an update for you. This is some of the damage in Tonga. In fact, New Zealand and Australia are sending aid to Tonga because of the damage they suffered, when New Zealand might be needing its own aid to come right back within the next 5 days. So that's what I have for you now. As far as my video from yesterday with Mount Hood in Oregon, That climber that you saw getting CPR sadly has passed away. There was one other lady who was injured who just literally could not move any body parts. I don't know if that was from a fall or some sort of paralysis or cold. But you could see in that video there was parts of that mountain just falling apart. It was very weird to see, and even the mountaineers and the local area people that take care of that mountain and keep eye on it said there was no warnings or watches out for that day. So things can just happen with weather, guys. Weather's a very, very unpredictable thing. Climbers are experienced. They know what they're doing before they climb a mountain like Mount Hood. It's not like you just throw on a pair of shoes and hiking and some hiking gear you got for Christmas and go climb this thing. You need to be an experienced climber. So it's just a very unfortunate situation. Prayers go out to that man's family and his friends that were there with him. Horrible, horrible situation. If I have any significant updates with that, I'll bring that to you as well. But I hope you all have a great morning. I will talk to you this afternoon. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.